Hello, everybody, and welcome into our post-game show here at the Hockey Writers. After Toronto Maple Leafs get eliminated in 5 games, extended it to 5. I couldn't put this one away. They lose, unfortunately, in overtime 3-2. Almost going into the double overtime. They almost got there. Nick Cousins scoring the game winner after another chance. Maple Leafs had a lot of good chances in this game in the overtime to win it. Panthers did as well. Joined in by Peter Baracchini, who, of course, covers the Maple Leafs, Maple Leafs Lounge, all that. Peter, how's it going? Maple Leafs out in the second round.
Could be better. Could be better. Considering what happened during that game, I know we're going to get to a lot about, issues with the officiating again, but it really is a tough pill to swallow considering they managed to claw their way back. But then again, Maple Leafs put themselves in a spot where they didn't really dominate from beginning to end. They didn't have really a 60-minute effort in this whole entire series, really. So it's tough. They managed to show some fight, but again, it's always kind of the same thing with this team right now. And we just don't know where to go from here right now. So really difficult moments considering what happened, but yeah.
Well, what are your initial takeaways? Obviously the game just ended not that long ago. Takeaways from the game, and then just a couple main takeaways from the series. Obviously only went 5 games. I thought it could have gone 7. I think it could have, definitely. So any of the takeaways that you got from this series and this game in particular?
Again, not starting on time. I mean, they had a good opening shift, but then, there was a power play that led to the Ekblad goal. You really can't fault Joseph Woll because it did deflect over his glove hand. But even so, after that, there was still no response whatsoever. And it's the response from the Maple Leafs in the series overall that just didn't quite have it. And that's very disappointing considering that they always had a response and to counter the Tampa Bay Lightning. I don't know why they couldn't do that against the Florida Panthers, because on paper, the Lightning are a better team than the Panthers. And on paper, the Maple Leafs are a better team than the Panthers at this point. Sorry, I probably Lightning better than Panthers, Maple Leafs better than Panthers. Sorry. Long day and long-winded watching the Maple Leaf game. But it's just their lack of response and attention to detail too, because it was key moments that pivot or key plays at pivotal moments that ended up costing them, just like that 3-on-2 breakdown. You give Carter Verhaeghe, who I said would have a massive impact during this series. He scored some pretty clutch goals, and you leave him wide open, and then he gets that over Joseph Woll, and it's like, well, he's a dangerous shooter. Why are you leaving him wide open like that? It's little mental lapses and breakdowns that always end up costing the Maple Leafs in these games, in these series. And again, they got to try and find a way to fix that, because how many more breakdowns can you have at key moments without your stars rising to the occasion?
Yeah, well, that's a good segue. Auston Matthews didn't end up with a goal in this series. Was that a major reason why they lost? I mean, Mitch Marner did kind of come to play in the last game. Nylander scored a big goal to tie the game in this one. Matthews had a few chances. I mean, it's not like he wasn't noticeable, but ultimately you look on paper and he has the 0 in this series. So what about Auston Matthews in this series? What do you think?
Yeah, I thought he was showing moments in the game, in the series, but just really couldn't convert it on the chances, just like he did against the Tampa Bay Lightning. And it really is kind of suspect, because this is one of the premier goal scorers in the league, and they needed him to step up, and unfortunately he didn't. I mean, goals are his MO. He had 5 against Tampa Bay. None here, only 2 assists in the series. And, it's not that obviously he is the star of the team. He does need to show up in these big moments, but there are also moments where he was, making key defensive plays, coming back. But though that alone, when you're known for goal scoring, I don't know if he's like dealing with an ailment or something like that. We're probably going to find out sooner or later, like what player was playing through what injuries, but I really found his performance disappointing. It's not to say that, he's a bad player. He isn't,
No.
but it's just like shining in key moments. It just didn't go his way. And even look at the shots. I mean, in games 1 and 2, he had 12 total. He had 2 in game 3. He had 4 in game 4. He had a couple of really great looks, especially on the power play. It's just, it didn't go in. And, you thought maybe he was due for one. Unfortunately, he didn't. And that is kind of, again, the key word is just disappointing that he couldn't rise up and be a key figure like other teams and other team stars has during these playoffs.
Yeah, and it is unfortunate. I mean, the thing is, he did get chances, but again, that doesn't mean anything. I mean, you have to
especially
score
in the playoffs, yeah.
Especially in the playoffs, you need to have those goals, and especially in games like this one. Matt Matthew Tkachuk obviously didn't score in this game either. It was Nick Cousins does play on the top line, so I guess you could say he's a top line forward, but he's not known to be one. It is tough. And the thing is, they were close in every game. And that's it. I think the more frustrating part of it is that the Stars could have made a difference in these ones. And all the games were close. There was no real blowouts. They were all within 2 goals, 1 goal. So that's where your Stars make the difference. And some of their depth maybe could have been as well, but yeah. Before we get to just the last bit of this, what do you think about Joseph Woll? I mean, the thing is, we talked to him at Maple Leafs Lounge. Will he be able to step up? I think he did.
Yeah.
He looked to. I mean, he wasn't the reason they lost this game. He was really good. Last game, he was really tidy as well. So my question is, this is the question: what is the future for Joseph Woll now that this performance and Matt Murray as I'd say backup right now? What do you think his future is now that he's had these 2 games?
I think you're looking at the backup for next year. 100%. I think he has pushed Matt Murray down the depth chart in terms of performance, consistency, everything. Health. And again, the big thing is health. Yeah. And it's unfortunate because Matt Murray was kind of on this redemption tour. Slow start, found his way. Injuries plagued him, inconsistent efforts. Again, I was rooting for like a bounce back effort from Matt Murray. Unfortunately, we did get some. It just wasn't enough. And, it opened the door for Joseph Woll to come in, play some key games, get some key wins, especially down the stretch when they wanted to secure home ice. He looked great against the New York Rangers. I do think that as a result, you're looking at trading Matt Murray. I don't understand know what his injury situation is, but if he was healthy enough to be a backup in the absence of Ilya Samsonov, I don't know if you're able to put him on LTIR, because if he is healthy to play, you can send him to a team that's looking to get up to the cap floor, gain some salary cap, gain, goaltender for a roster spot. I'm pretty sure you're going to find suitor somewhere there, but if you're going to have to latch on to that, or latch that first round pick onto him, do you keep it? Do you trade something else, find another route, just get the best deal possible? I don't know, but Joseph Woll has been fantastic overall. I mean, like the way he was tracking the puck, the way he was square with the shooter, didn't give up a whole lot of like high danger chances. Rebound control was much better than both him and even Ilya Samsonov at times. I do think that he cemented himself as a backup for next year. Whether he could try and steal a starter role remains to be seen, but every single year he's gotten better, dominated the AHL, looked good in the NHL. I think he's going to be one of the 2 goaltenders next season. Definitely.
Yeah, I agree too. I really loved his performance the last 2 games. Like I said, it's not the reason they lost this series. He gave him a chance to win in this one too. So full props to him. We'll see what happens in the offseason with the goaltending situation, what they do, and then into next season as well. All right, a couple quick fire before we end here. What'd you think about that disallowed goal that could have would have tied the game at the time? And who knows what type of momentum could have been drawn from that?
Yeah, this probably shouldn't be a quick fire question because
No, it shouldn't.
I could
Just
go
to
into
keep
depth
it
with
quick.
this.
This could be a whole show.
First things first, it did cross the line. I mean, there was an angle where it did show the puck and it showed white past the red line. Even though his pad was covering it, it did show it across the line. Two, the whistle didn't go, which means the play is still going. And I understand the rule about the intent to blow a play dead. But to me, it doesn't matter. I've always been told, and even taught kids, you play until the whistle's blown. You play until the play is dead and you hear that whistle. The whistle didn't go. Everyone admitted it. The panel admitted it. Everyone was saying that it didn't go. You didn't even hear it on the ice. And that should be a good goal. The play is still alive, even though that he's trying to find it and, his intent is to blow the whistle, but play still there. I think it should have been a good goal. And whether that could have created some momentum, absolutely it could have. I mean, you're looking at a tie game at that point. And if everything played out the way it did and Nylander scored that fantastic goal to initially tie the game up, you're looking at a 3-2 Maple Leafs game and you're probably heading back to Sunrise. So yeah, that definitely was a deal breaker. That was a tough pill to swallow. I don't understand how they have all this technology, cameras, angles, and it's still tough to get a sense on if it's a good goal or not. I mean, I just don't understand where you could go from here. I think everyone is saying this is why you need puck trackers in the puck, because that would give a key indicator that it is in the net. So yeah, it disappointing. That again, that rule, I don't like it. I don't think it should be a rule. There should be a rule change for that, because if your intent to blow the play dead, the whistle should be up and you're already in the motion. I did not see any motion to blow the play dead, but yeah.
That's all
I'm just probably going to stop it at there, because that was probably that was a bad call, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I saw it too. I think it was in. I mean, it definitely looked in to me. So yeah, like I say, those plays make a difference in a game. And well, it's done now. All we can say, talk about it. And the final one I got, I mean, we're gonna have a whole big off-season preview show, off-season show, all this. But do you see any major changes in the Maple Leafs now? I mean, is Sheldon Keefe back next year? Is Kyle Dubas back next year? He's got no contract for next year. About those two, who do you see coming back?
I would prefer to see Kyle Dubas come back. I think that he made the necessary moves. I think at times during the series, Sheldon Keefe showed his stubborn side, sticking with some line combinations, not like waiting to the last minute to try and get Matthews and Marner together, when maybe he should probably put Nylander on there, who was showing more effort than Mitch Marner at points. Dubas made the necessary moves to make the team competitive. Like Jake McCabe looked good. Again, some rough moments, just like everybody else. Lucien looked fantastic with Morgan Riley. I think that's one of your top pairs for next season. Maybe try and sign him. But at the same time, if you get rid of Keefe, who else is out there? There isn't. You could say Gerard Gallant. I don't think he would be a good fit personally. In terms of moves, whether you move a core piece, that's going to be difficult, because you saw out of the star players that you saw are the core players. I mean, you saw effort from Tavares, but still couldn't connect. Nylander was by far the best player the last 2-3 games, in my opinion. Mitch Marner, I love him as a player, but he did not look fantastic at all this series, making mistakes that he normally does not make. Too passive with the puck, not moving his feet a lot, because when he's moving, that's when he's at his dangerous. He's slowing the play down a lot, and you can't do that in the playoffs. He knows that. We know that. Everybody knows that. We expected better from him, and he was basically a no-show, more so than Matthews at this point. If you try, again, you could try and trade him, but $10 million, that's a lot to move. So you're probably looking at, if you do need to make a significant move, that 6.9 contract from Nylander is the only movable contract, despite him being the best player at points. So Yeah, there's a lot of decisions to make, a lot of players under contract that maybe you should rethink about not re-signing. I think Alexander Kerfoot's easily replaceable. If you want Timothy Liljegren to move up into the lineup, you cannot sign Justin Hall. Again, a lot of questionable decisions this series or when he came into the lineup. Yeah, it definitely is going to be, I would say it's good. There are going to be changes coming. You expect them to come. But at the same time, if you run it back, then this is solely, again, if you run it back again, this is solely going to be on the players, because now the pressure is really going to be on Matthews. It's really going to be on Marner, Tavares. And now if you go back next season, one playoff series isn't going to be enough. You're expected to go to the conference finals or Stanley Cup. And that was probably the mentality this year. But unfortunately, it isn't.
No. And I mean, you got to give credit where credit's due too. I mean, Florida Panthers played a heck of a
Absolutely.
series. Yeah. Sergei Bobrovsky was a massive difference maker in this series. I mean, the Maple Leafs just couldn't score on him. I mean, that's just it. I mean, they couldn't get 3 past him. I mean, it was 2 all the time.
2 goals every single game. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, they couldn't get, you need to score more than 2 to win. I mean, especially in the playoffs. And Bobrovsky's just looked like the $10 million man. And that's, I mean, that's what the Panthers have wanted since they signed him. And we'll see if he can keep it going against Hurricanes. But you got to give credit to the Florida Panthers, because they definitely won this series based on, I mean, they're well deserving of it. So.
Absolutely. And you know what? Their forecheck at times was too much for the Maple Leafs to handle. Their forecheck created those turnovers, led to those goals against. Like you said, tip your hat, because they were aggressive. They had that, mindset that they were out of the 2 teams riding high off the momentum, with the Maple Leafs finally winning a series, or the Panthers knocking off the Bruins, the top history-setting team.
Yeah.
Those are 2, they're the ones that carried it throughout the whole entire series. And you know what? It wouldn't surprise me if they try to push for a Stanley Cup themselves, because they're going up against the Carolina Hurricanes. I'm pretty sure Carolina is the odds-on favorite. But then again, Boston was the favorite. Toronto was the favorite. Are they going to knock off another, elite level team that has all the makings to go far as well? It'll be interesting to see what's going to happen. But yeah, they were fantastic this whole entire series. Physical, engaging. Again, maybe some hits were questionable throughout the whole entire series, but I do think that, the better team did win. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens in the offseason. There's going to be plenty of articles written about it, I'm sure, from the Maple Leafs team at the Hockey Writers. So keep an eye on that. We'll have an off-season preview as well coming up later on, which we'll kind of dive into more of what could happen at the draft, because they do have a pick. So that's going to be something as well.
Which bumps up to 27th right now, I believe.
There you go. So you have a little bit of a higher pick, maybe. Too.
There you go.
So there, you can hang your hat on that. There you go.
Exactly.
Optimistic. Yeah. So thanks, Peter, for coming on the post game here. Quick reaction, and we'll see you later on. Maple Leafs Lounge will have a more deeper dive in it as well coming up. So keep your eye on the YouTube channel for all that. And we'll see you next time on another series recap preview show. We'll have previews. We'll see you next time.